All right, well, let's do this. Let's do this. What's there to talk about? I don't know. I don't know what could there be to talk about. I don't know. You know, your boy AD has been in his share of fights, and I don't mean like the verbal altercations or like written fights or fights online. I mean like smacking each other and that kind of thing, trying to get your footing. And a lot of these fights end up on the ground very quickly into like a grappling match. And the thing about fights is that, a lot of them, especially if you're evenly matched, you're not, one person is not excessively stronger than the other. A lot of fights end up being about endurance, right? Because when you're fighting, you're kind of exerting your body in all kinds of different ways simultaneously. And you get tired really, really fast when you're fighting. And also because the blood's pumping, what's it called? The fight or flight response. Everything's working overdrive, and you get tired really fast, and the person who ends up winning usually is the one who has a bit more stamina. And here's the thing. I think when we're around election season, it really does feel like you're looking for a quick victory. A lot of times it feels that way because election day comes and goes very, very quickly. Well, at least it used to. I don't know about anymore. But election day is just like a single day, right? It's a single moment, high intensity, high energy. And then based on whether you feel like you won or lost, it's like, oh, well, that's a letdown. And it kind of can feel like, oh, well, we lost. It's final. It's final. That's a final thing. And that's really not how it is. I mean, the way that you turn a country around isn't just like a one-shot deal. It's not a cataclysmic event, at least not usually. It can be, but that's not normally how it happens. And I think if you look at the history of God and his people and the different governmental entanglements that they found themselves in, this is how it happened for them too. I mean, there were some cataclysmic shifts, like, the Exodus, God saves his people in a very short amount of time. But then there's like, decades and decades and centuries of plotting and just kind of, doing things kind of in slow motion, they were doing life together in the wilderness, like over the course of years. And so I think that the temptation is to say, well, this election has shown us that this is a referendum on Donald Trump, or this shows you that Christian nationalism, it's not real. It's a fantasy. I saw one guy call it a live action role play. It's a LARP. You're just LARPing, you Christian nationalists. We rejected Christian nationalism. And what they're doing, I think, a lot of the time, not everybody comes at this from the same perspective, of course. Some people want to stop it. They want to stop Christian nationalism, so they want to just kind of make it a meme, right? Like, Christian nationalism is done. We rejected it. And if they say it enough times, then it's true. That's what some people are doing. And some people, I think, they're naysaying, but I don't even think they know they're doing it. It's just kind of like a negativity. They can't foresee what you're trying to accomplish. And so they say that it can't be done because they've never seen it done, so it can't be done. And so you got to watch out for the influence of naysayers because this is not how real life really is. It just isn't. You need to be preparing the stamina to command the future. To change the future, you need stamina. Much like in a fight, you need to have stamina. It has to be a consistent process, consistent plotting. And that's why so much of Christian nationalism talk right now is, yes, of course, we were right around an election season, so of course we're thinking about the election. To be honest, I'm black-pilled about elections, to be completely honest. I don't think there's any electoral strategy around this. Look, I don't pretend to know everything about like who's the best candidate or why they lost or whatever. Obviously, I understand that elections have been fortified, if you know what I mean. But I'm pretty black-pilled about elections. But that doesn't mean I'm black-pilled about politics. I'm not black-pilled about politics at all. In fact, a lot of what we talk about right now as Christian nationalists is how do you discipline yourself, right? You see a lot of people that are wringing their hands with angst about us saying, men should be healthy. Men should be able to, lift heavy weights and defend their families and fight, like this if necessary. Men should discipline their appearance. A lot of Christian nationalism talk is about how to educate your children. Well, first of all, having children, number one, and how to have children. You see a lot of talk about intercultural marriages, interethnic marriages, and things like that. You see a lot of talk about raising kids and how many kids you should have and how you should educate them. That's where a lot of the focus is right now. A lot of focus is about your church and your local assembly, your local congregations, your local communities. These are things that we have a lot more influence over. I think that one thing I did agree with this guy. His name is? He's not a known quantity, so I don't really even know. I can't think of his name, but even if I did, I don't even know if I should name him. One of the things he said is that Christian nationalism is a LARP. It's LARPing. And to be honest, I actually kind of sympathize with what he's saying. I think pretty much all voting is LARPing, like the politics that you see on elections. That is kind of LARPing. I mean, if you look at like how people treat voting, it's like they make it seem like you're a knight on your horse in shining armor and you're heroically going to battle, and then you vote. You fill in a little circle next to someone's name, and it's like you're doing your duty. They make it seem like it's a sacred honor, and you're like a knight, and you're doing your sacred honor to defend the truth. Like, it's just very, very interesting how people look at voting. I think that's pretty much LARPing, but I think that a lot of what we're focused on right now, and again, I'm not saying we ignore national politics. I'm not saying that, but that's like, to be perfectly honest with you, for a Christian nationalist, that's like 5% of the focus right now. Obviously, we want to get better politicians elected. Obviously, we want to game plan that. Obviously, we need to figure out how to get control over elections back so that they can't fortify this thing the way they've been doing. Like, obviously, Florida has done a good job with the defortification process. I don't know what you want to call it. That sounds bad. But anyway, a lot of the focus right now is about things that actually are in control, and that's anything but LARPing. Honestly, we could have like a super majority if Christians had a bunch of kids this generation and actually taught them to be Christians. They didn't send them to Caesar to educate them how to be slaves, because that's what happens at Caesar's education camps. They get taught how to be slaves. That's what we're seeing with Generation Z, by the way. Like, people are really upset because Generation Z is the Democrat generation. They're the ones that basically did all these horrible votes, not only for people, but also for horrible laws regarding killing children and stuff. And yeah, that's blameworthy for sure, but you can't get too mad at them because they were the ones that were sent to government education camps, and what they learned there was the government evil, pagan religion, and they are zealots. The Bible says that when you're taught well, you will be just like your master. Their master is the state, and they voted accordingly. They became wards of the state, slaves of the state. They were indoctrinated into the state religion, this bloody, evil, just human sacrifice religion. And then they were saddled with a bunch of debt because that's the government. Their master told them that was what freedom was. Freedom was going into debt to get a worthless education. That's freedom. That's what they told them. And they learned it, and they did it because they were catechized to do it. And then now that they're slaves and they owe a debt they can never repay, now the government says, oh, don't worry, we'll still take care of you. And so, of course, they voted in their self-interest. They did what they were taught to do, and we all need to reckon with that, right? But we could own the future right now as Christians if we discipline ourselves. Guys, like, even if you just wanted to get healthy, to give your kids an example of what they should be. Look, I've got 3 sons, and I just found out we're going to have a 4th son. Amazing. God has been so good to me. But even if that wasn't the only reason why I wanted to get healthy and eat well and do that, just to teach my kids that would be a good enough reason. It would be. So anyway, what I mean is, it's very easy to look at election day and be like, that's a cataclysmic failure. It's a referendum on Trump. It's a referendum on Christian nationalism has been rejected. And it has in the theater. In the theater that's on CNN and MSNBC, and I guess I was part of it because I was doing the Cross Politic live show, although that was some quality theater. That's theater. That's where it was rejected, right? But it hasn't been rejected. It has not been repudiated. This is something that you live every single day. This is something that you live. That's why there's so much focus on these kinds of things. I just, this is a tweet that I saw This is in response to Stephen Wolfe. He's been, quoted from his book saying how, men should probably be less fat than they are. And I got to say, I'll be honest with you, right now I'm stronger than I've ever been. There's no question about it. But if you kind of followed me over the last couple years, you might be like, AD, what are you, bloat maxing? And I got to be, if you don't know what bloat maxing is, look it up. I think it's pretty awesome, but I don't want to be bloat maxing. In any case, so anyway, I look at that. I'm like, yeah, he's right. Maybe I need to discipline myself a little bit more than I have. But people are freaking out. Like, oh, you're a legalist. You're a legal. You think men should be healthy? You're a legalist. And it's like, and this is the thing. We've been taught this way, not only in government schools, but our churches have taught us to be passive, soft, slave-minded. And not slaves of Christ. I'm talking about of the state. This guy Santiago here, he says he points out this plan, this mindset. Stephen Wolfe says, Christian nationalists say, you should have a family and you should build your family. And of course, Big Eva's big thing: don't idolize the family. It's not an idol. It's not. They're normalizing not having a family. And then, of course, you got the current push to be fit and lead your children to be fit. And that's misogyny, legalism. You say the same thing about civil law. Civil law should be just according to God's justice. And they call it fascism, Christo-fascism. That's the new word. Christ is king. And then they've got all these reasons why, you don't understand what really it means that Christ is king. That's for some time in the future, not for right now. And it's like, when you think about, like, every time someone says something good, right? Something good that Christians should do, Big Eva always has an excuse why you should follow Global Homo, right? You should follow Global Homo. That's what they always have something to make it sound pious to actually go with the unhealthy viewpoint. And it's just it's a pattern that many people have seen. But here's the truth, though. Like, we've gotten to the place where we're at. I mentioned sort of this civic religion that all of our children were catechized into. And now they're voting like true believers. I mean, these people, the Generation Z, they're true believers. And they're voting like true believers, right? That was something that was gradually done over time, right? It wasn't a quick hit. It's not like someone flicked a switch and everyone lost their mind and thought it's okay to kill babies, right? That's not how it happened. This happened over time. And it happened through catechism. It happened through entertainment. It happened through storytelling. And it's a long process, right? And so we need to understand that and recognize that one of the things that we need to focus on if we're going to win this fight, almost like any fight, is stamina. Because this is a process that is going to take a little bit of time, and we need to recognize that. So don't focus so much on the elections, and a lot of people are very upset with how they went. I kind of predicted it a little bit. I mean, on the Cross Politics show that I did on election night, Matt Williams asked me what I thought would the Republicans take the Senate, and I kind of was like, I don't know. If they do, it'll be like 1 by 1. It'll be like 51 to 49. That's what it'll be like, and that might not even happen. They might not even take it at all. So I'm not totally surprised by it. But again, I'm kind of black-pilled about elections, but anything but when it comes to politics. One more thing I will say. A lot of people, it's amazing. It's like this is the drumbeat. This is the drumbeat that you're hearing. This means that Trump is no longer, he shouldn't be the candidate. He shouldn't be involved at all. This was a rejection of Trump. And everybody's saying that. That's the official narrative from MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, everybody. And even a lot of my friends are saying this too, that this just shows you that he's done, and maybe he is. Again, I'm not a political strategist. I'm not saying that. But honestly, it doesn't show that either, in my opinion. It really doesn't. I think if you look at the kinds of things that Trump won his election on, and the kinds of things that Republicans are pushing right now, they're totally different. They're really not the same at all. I think it was Torba who shared this meme that said, Trump ran on, building the wall and immigration and that kind of thing, and he won. And we're running now on I guess right now there's a lot of unemployment in black communities, and we need legal immigration and stuff like that. And that's a loser. I mean, You could easily interpret it as that too, that Trump's method for getting elected was actually the right one. Now, this says nothing about Trump, the man himself. Because, again, I'm black-pilled about elections, so I don't really, honestly don't even think it really matters who the candidate is, to be honest. But as far as, like, Trump is concerned, he's so anti what you're supposed to like that makes me like him. Like, I think it's suspicious that basically like a drumbeat, everyone is saying DeSantis, 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 and they want you to join that call. I don't really think that. I don't have a problem with DeSantis, but that makes me very suspicious, very suspicious. And to be honest, given everything that's happened the last 2 years, if that doesn't make you slightly suspicious, I wonder why. I wonder why. I mean, I'm not saying DeSantis is a bad guy. I'm not saying that. Although I will say this, that Trump's nickname for DeSantis is no bueno. No bueno. DeSanctimonious, I don't know. I mean, I like Trump's nickname. He knows how to do the nicknames thing better than I do. I just don't really see it sticking. DeSanctimonious. First of all, a lot of people don't even know what DeSanctimonious means. DeSanctimonious doesn't really, like, roll off the tongue. I don't know. I feel like he can do better, but who knows? He knows. This is his thing. This is his thing, and he obviously has spent a lot of time thinking about it. So, I don't know. But yes, just watch out for the naysayers, man. You really need to surround yourself with people that aren't going to try to stop you from pursuing big things. You know what I mean? You have to really kind of take a comfortable seat in the saddle and get ready for a long haul. I read this article once that made this. It did this study about goal setting. And I think it was talking about individual goals, so it might not apply directly for like movements with lots of people, but I think there's a lesson we can learn. It basically said that, if you have a goal, right, like let's just say to lose 100 pounds, right, that's your goal. You want to lose 100 pounds, and you don't tell anybody about it. You just get to work, right? It said that you're much more likely to accomplish your goal if you don't tell anybody about it than you are if you do. Like, so if you announce it on Facebook or Twitter or to your family or whatever, and you're like, I'm going to lose 100 pounds. And they're like, you go, girl. You go. I don't know why I became a girl in my head. Why did this person become a girl in my head? I don't know. You go, girl. And it's like, everyone's like, oh, we support you. You get the likes and all that kind of stuff. The article made this case that according to studies, you get like an instant gratification kind of dopamine hit from that, right? Because it's like everyone's supporting you, they're with you on that goal, and it's like you get this dopamine hit. It's almost like a small little high, right? And then you get to work and you realize that the results aren't quick like that, right? And so to lose 100 pounds, it takes consistent work. It takes lifestyle changes. It takes, it's going to be little incremental victories, and you're going to make progress, but it's going to take a while before you start to notice it. And it's like, you got to be consistent. You got to have stamina. And when you got that dopamine hit initially where it's like, yes, and then you get to work and it's like, oh, and it's actually hard, you're much more likely to quit. And what you're going to do is, what this article said is, you're going to find the next thing that gives you the quick dopamine hit. So now it's not going to be, I'm going to lose 100 pounds. Now I'm going to start a business, or now I'm going to change my hair, or now I'm going to find a new man, or whatever it is. I don't know why this person became a woman. I don't know. Anyway, so the article said, if you want to be successful in your goal, don't tell anybody, and then just start getting to work. And what'll happen is you will get compliments and people will start to support you, but they're only going to start when they start to see some progress, right? So if you're going to lose 100 pounds and you start getting to work and you're making slow progress, nobody can see it except for you, because you're the only one who knows you're doing this. And all of a sudden you've lost 20 pounds. Someone's going to be like, man, you look good. You look good. And you're going to be like, well, thank you. And you get that support and you're going to get a little dopamine hit. But because you've already kind of practiced celebrating small victories and getting the benefit from the small progress, it's not going to derail you the way it would if you had done it in reverse. Now, I don't know if that works with movements that require a lot of people, because like if you're starting a business, for example, and you need a lot of workers, you're going to have to get other people in on your vision right off the bat. But there's a lesson there, right? There's a lesson there. You need to learn to celebrate small victories. You need to learn to settle in for a long haul, a long ride, because this is how this thing works. And that's why so much of what we're talking about right now as Christian nationalists isn't the theater of politics, isn't the big stage. Look, would we have loved to have Mastriano win the governorship of Pennsylvania? Yes, we would have loved that. We didn't get it. And that's okay, because a lot of what we have to focus on as Christian nationalists are stuff that you can control quite easily. It's hard work, but it's stuff in your immediate circle. It's in your immediate communities. A lot of focus on localism, because that's stuff that actually matters day to day, and that's stuff that is achievable pretty quickly. Now, God can do something cataclysmic. We know this, right? God can do something cataclysmic. There can be a Christian nationalist revival throughout the country at the drop of a hat, right? He could do that, and we need to have faith that that could happen. But he might not, and he might work through ordinary means, and that is where the lion's share of our effort has to be. Elections are elections, and there's nothing wrong with liking elections and being involved in that. But once the theater is over, once the curtains have fallen, you still have a Christian nationalist life ahead of you, a Christian nationalist future to command. And it is anything but live action role play. It is anything but a pipe dream. It is anything but unrealistic, because it will happen. There's no question about it. Christ will reign, and his people will reign with him. I hope you found this video helpful. God bless.